Thank you for joining us here at the Planet MicroCap Showcase Vegas 2024. I'd like to introduce our next presenter. It's a fireside chat, Q&A, hosted by Ben Claremon from Devonshire Partners with Adam Michaels from Mama's Creations. Okay.
All righty. Thanks for being here. To satisfy all disclosures, I need to say that I am not a Mama shareholder, and big mistake on my part. I think we have the closest thing to a microcap celebrity here in the room with Adam Michaels, the success this company has had. If anybody follows the Compounders podcast, which is my podcast, and I interviewed Adam for it in the fall. And so we're just going to go back and forth here and hopefully get an update from that podcast. So Adam, it's been about 6 months since you were on Compounders, and you've had a chance to report full year 2023 numbers. Maybe let's just start with how you feel about how 2023 went.
Yeah, it's good. And first, Ben, thanks so much for doing this. And I don't know cause and effect, but I went onto your podcast and somehow the stock's through the roof since. So we'll see. I don't know cause and effect. But look, the short answer is we're just getting started. Like we are, hopefully I've been very clear with everybody when I first came on. So I came on about 18 months ago. First year, we had a 3C strategy, cost, controls, and culture. And it was all about stabilizing the business. Made no sense to build a great business on a shaky foundation. And we spent the first year building that foundation from a financial standpoint. I don't lose any sleep at night on our balance sheet. Great team with Anthony Gruber and Peter Monch. Operations, when I came here, we had about a 12% gross margin. Now we have close to 30% gross margin. So the first year was all about building that foundation. We had an analyst day in February, and we announced earnings last week. We feel good about those first three, so good about those first three that although they're still there, we're adding a fourth C in Catapult because now we believe we have the right foundation to really grow. Fourth quarter, we had about 17% growth. And again, I promise we're just getting started.
And so you jumped ahead to one of my questions. So you've got the 3 C's, but let's talk about Catapult, right? So anytime you add a new pillar, right, that's a meaningful thing. I don't think you're going to have, you're not going to have 12 C's.
No, I hope not.
So let's talk about what does that mean? Not just obviously you're messaging something to the culture and the employee, but what does it mean more practically about how you're going to, try to achieve the Catapult?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple things. So again, very methodical. What gets measured gets improved. I have all the time in the world. I don't feel any stress on the speed at which we do this, so we're going to do it right. We built that foundation, and Catapult is all about growth. So what does that mean? That means that you bring in great talent. Lauren Sella, we brought in as our Chief Marketing Officer. She had a long career in food. Actually, I had the honor of meeting her when I was at Nabisco, and she ran one of our businesses, Tate. She was the CMO of Tate Bake Shop. Brought in a great trade guy, Nick Powers. So you brought in some more salespeople. And what you're seeing is that now we're building the team for it. So that's one. Two, we're investing. Again, I said at the February Analyst Day, yep, we're at 30% gross margins. That's great. Tons more that we could get. And I promise not to show you guys any of it. So I'm going to make up a number. If there's 10 more points of margin we could get, you won't see any of it. And actually, I want to spend 11 of that in more trade spend, right? Because we have to grow. I think, we're in low single digits now in trade. I personally feel in this industry, it's different by category. I think we should be in the 10% range. That means I'm going to keep saving, keep driving down our COGS, and put that into trade. Means Lauren, we're in low single digits in our marketing spend. That should at least be mid-single digits. So we are going to continue to drive greater and greater efficiencies, even more than we've already done. And we're going to put all that back into accelerating growth in Catapult.
And the sales organization required to grow $100 to $100 million revenue company might be different from what it took to get to 50 million. So I kind of want to split this question into two parts and ask how you're feeling about first the farming and upselling, right? Just getting more shelf space with your existing customers, and then how you're feeling separately about the hunting for new customers aspect of your organization.
Yeah, so we're really clear. So there's three ways. actually only three ways to grow a business. You get more customers, you get more items into existing customers, or you get those existing items to drive greater velocities for you. So those are the three. You add those three up, that gets you to what consumption is, what gets you to revenue. That's just mathematical. For us, the biggest focus that we have put on our business is all about driving more items into existing customers. And why? Because I'm cheap. And it is cheaper and more efficient to get more items into existing customers. Why? They call us. We don't even call them. They call us every month, every couple of weeks. Hey, how's the product doing? Checking in. So it's much easier for us to say, oh, by the way, did you notice the new chip? Wait, you guys have panini? Wait, I didn't realize you have pasta salad? Wait, what about the olives? It's just easier for us because they're asking us for our new items. Second one, the truck's already going there. For me to put one more pallet on the truck, it actually means my freight costs are actually going down. Freight, I think, is down like 50%, 50, since I've started. An amazing woman, and Rebecca, she literally has just shedded all of that freight off of our business, which means we have more money to spend on trade and marketing. So I really love getting more items into existing customers. It also creates I call it a billboard effect, right? If you have one item on a shelf, I don't care what that item is, it's going to get lost. If I have 10 items on a shelf, you can't pass it without seeing it, right? And, I grew up in the Nabisco world. It's a sea of blue, right? There's not a cookie aisle in America that you could go down that you don't notice the blue Oreo, because it's a block. That's what I want to try to get to with Mamos. So definitely the first focus is on driving more items into existing customers. Second one, driving greater velocities. So historically, before I got here, we didn't really have a trade plan, a trade program. Nick's doing an amazing job. You can see we have one page. Again, I'm a very analytical guy. We have every single customer down the left-hand side, and every month across, I can see every single trade program, not this year, every trade program we did last year, this year, and what we're planning to do next year, so you can understand the lapping of our programs. And I better see that all filled up. So getting more trade dollars in, accelerating the growth, and then measuring. We look at every single program we do, we measure the ROI of that program. Some we're going to redo and do again. Others, it was a great learning experience, not doing that one again. And that's totally cool. So that second one, and then the third one, I'm supposed to love, my wife says, I'm supposed to love all my children equally. Absolutely, we're going after new customers. So, what's amazing, so we are a $100 million business in all 50 states, doing really well. And we're literally not in something like 5 of the top 10 customers. 3 biggest customers in America: Walmart, Target, Kroger. We have a whopping total of $0 of sales in those 3 businesses. Do you think there's some opportunity? So the first thing I did when I got here, I got the 3 best brokers in the business. Magically, the broker was in Bentonville. Magically, the broker was in Minneapolis, Cincinnati. Got great brokers, and this was a focus for us. And, we're going to deliver on those. And again, it's not just those 3. There's 3 more below that. That's the focus. So those 3.
And, kind of following on that question about those large customers, I mean, anyone who's followed those companies recognize that they're pretty mean, demanding customers who expect a lot from their suppliers and vendors. Is that, if you were prioritizing new accounts, would you prioritize them because they're the largest, and then accept a lower margin as a result because of how demanding they are, or would you rather go towards a smaller player who may be regionally strong, but maybe you could get their economics?
Yeah, that's just about the easiest question you could ever ask me. So I do a lot of nonprofit work. I got suckered into being a city councilman in my town. I do tons of nonprofit work. I do that at night. I don't do that during the day. There is no customer I care about that I don't lose money on. I don't care what you tell me. I promise you 37 years from now, it's going to be wonderful. Just not going to happen. So we're very clear. We're very competitive. We're doing a great job on driving down our costs and allow us to give competitive prices. But I don't care who you are. We are not selling at a loss. We know, I mean, no one will ever fully appreciate, but I look at our profitability by invoice every single week. I'm looking at our profitability by customer every single month. Every quarter, I look at every single sale, thousands of lines long. I look at every single sale by invoice, by customer. Excel has a pretty cool function of rank order. And I look at the gross margin, and my team knows they get love notes from me on every single sale, like line item that does not meet our margin threshold, and we take action. And that action is we raise price. That action is we ask for a higher MOQ, minimum order quantity, to help on freight. And I'm proud. I can give you a long list of customers that I have said, thank you for your business, and no thank you. It's just not going to happen. So I promise you, we are not getting into new customers that are.
Thank you. And as you've been able to take the gross margins from 12 to 30, it would make sense that there was a fair amount of low-hanging fruit. I know you a little bit, and I think you're never satisfied. So in terms of becoming, irrespective of the sales base, but in terms of becoming more effective in your own operations, where do you think you are on that? What's left? Where are there still things where you can get better, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we're still very early in, so I'll adjust it a little bit. I think the first year was about picking up the fruit that was rotting on the ground. I don't think this year I think I'm starting to get to the low-hanging fruit, but, right, I haven't got started yet. So just think about the coolest thing for me. I'm very happy, and again, I've shared this, that we brought to the board, we're a team, the largest ever capital request the company has ever had. All paid for from cash flow from operations. I hate it. So the board approved it. The amount of automation. So if I told you, and I welcome everybody to come to our facilities, we have an analyst day, and we take tours. It's a very manual process. And we've been using this year to start to automate some of those processes. And we're just seeing, again, it's, maybe our business is like a Ozempic or something. Like, it is just shedding. The costs are just shedding off of us by automating simple things on, we used to have dozens of people literally hand chopping our chicken into strips. We just bought a machine. I'm embarrassed to tell you how cheap it is. It does 6,000 pounds an hour. So from a dozen people to a machine with one employee that does it. And I could give you half a dozen of those. And that's, again, I'm just the beginning. See, that's how much demand they're knocking down. See, you hear that? I mean, that's how hardcore the sales are.
And I love to just dig a little more into the capital side. So, I mean, what are you spending on CapEx? How much, to get more fully automated in your facilities? Talking about capacity, CapEx, automation. What kind of spend are we talking about? Just give people a framework for how you think about that.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking, and I've shared, mid-single-digit millions for the next couple of years. Again, all paid for from cash flow from operations. When I got here, I think we had $1 million or so of cash. We just announced earnings last week. I think we're up to like $11 million now. We have a line of credit that literally, I feel like I should at least take a penny out. It literally is at zero right now. But I think for us, I think that mid-single-digit millions is where we're focused on it. But yeah, I don't know if there's others follow.
If you had, let's say, Walmart called you tomorrow and said,
right, absolutely.
"We love you. We want lots of meatballs, lots of chicken strips." Do you have the capacity? Talk about that.
So I apologize. So we have two facilities. Again, you're always welcome. One in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and one in Farmingdale, Long Island. I live in New Jersey, but every day except for when I'm here with you guys, I'm in one of our two facilities. But our East Rutherford facility, Like, we're only running one shift, so we could just easily double our shifts and double the output. We just bought a new spiral oven. So there's really two workhorses to our business. We have linear grills, that's just making most of the chicken products. And then we have a spiral oven, which is pretty much the same thing, but just goes up and down. And that makes most of our beef products. When I first got here, we bought a new spiral oven. I'm not that smart. To me, it looked almost the same. It was a little taller, but it increased efficiency by like 40%. So for all intents and purposes, by adding a second shift, you could double, and this new spiral oven, you could double again. You know, I'm not worried about capacity. We have tons of space there. Farmingdale, similarly, we're actually expanding. I'll make it up a little bit. A third of our space used to be actually office space, and we got really lucky. Across the street, like literally you could street, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, there's a lot of police, but right across the street, they just opened up a bunch of office space. You know, we actually took all staff, all 6 of them, but we actually increased the space for all of our manufacturers. So we're actually putting 2 new grill lines there, which is awesome. And again, more automation. We have to keep driving. Again, I can speak to you all day about this. Again, there were 3 people that would just manually tape the boxes. Again, don't ask me questions as to why. We got it's like $30. Like, you could buy it on eBay, an automated tape machine. And now, like, it's awesome. Again, I promise you, ask my wife, I'm not that smart. It's just basic block and tackling. And the beauty is, that's just tremendous opportunity. I'm just getting started.
I think people will be curious about what's driving the demand for your product. So let's talk a little bit about maybe a macro trend that's impacting the company. So I'm sure most people in the audience feel very acutely how expensive it is to eat out or get delivery these days. Do you have a sense for how inflation in the deli aisle compares to what we see, you know, given how expensive it is at restaurants?
Yeah, and I would tell you that I personally, I'm an operations guy. Obviously, driving efficiency is cool for me. The thing that you should be most excited about is just the macro trends. So just the deli, I'm sure all of you got your phone call from Jerome this afternoon, since Jerome Powell just announced at 2:30 the inflation numbers and what they're doing. It's actually only helping us in the sense that we see it's expensive to eat out. It's always been expensive to eat out. Inflation is literally 3-4 times. So food inflation, I think somewhere around 2s. In-home is about 1.5. Out-of-home is 4.5. If you're really dorky, you double click on 4.5 and you find out that QSR, so think of you're going to tell me you don't do it, but your McDonald's run or whatever is 5.5%. Try to go to, Burger King or Roy Rogers or wherever you want to go these days and try to leave there under $10. It's just not going to happen. That's it's driving people more towards the deli space. So it becomes a virtuous circle. So what happens is consumers are looking more for it, which allows the retailers to keep adding shelf space. I've been in the food space for a long time. This is one of the first times I've ever been in a category that they're actually growing shelf space. Cookies shelf space has been declining forever. Crackers, carbonated soft drinks, think your Pepsis, salty snacks. This is categories that have constantly been shrinking and shrinking. Our space is actually increasing. So more retailers give us more shelf space, gets consumers to want it more, which says more shelf space, and you get this virtuous circle, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. It's so cool. So IRI, this is just factual data. L52 over the last 52 weeks, the deli prepared where we play, this is a $30 billion category. In volume is up 3.5%. Actually, I lied, 3.6%. Volume, it's up over 5 in dollars. This is a category that's just only growing more and more. And the great news is, and again, I didn't create the wave, but I will happily ride it. It's only going to get better and better and better.
You should have a slide of the $26 burrito.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah.
come to LA and try to get out of it. You know,
It's nuts.
try not to find a burrito that's not 20.
And actually, I'll tell you one other thing. The other thing that's different is how a family eats. So again, growing up, we had dinner as a family every day at 6 o'clock. If you didn't get there by the time Dad got there, you were in trouble. And Mom made dinner. My mom made me dinner, and we ate whatever she made. You didn't get to choose. My mom, I love her so much. These base scallops, I hated these base scallops. But whatever, that's what we ate. And if you didn't eat that, that's great, because that will be your breakfast the next day. Today, what is it? My older son wants a burrito. My younger son wants a steak. My wife wants Indian. I'm in the mood for Chinese. It's right. And we all eat dinner together, the four of us, with those four meals. That's why the deli is so powerful, because no one even wants to go. It's like someone called it the diner, right? You go to a diner and somehow they have every product on the menu. Everything is going, knock wood, from a macro trend our way. And the question you have to ask is, first of all, and I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. So to my knowledge, I've been asking this for 18 months. We're the only publicly traded deli company in the country. Everybody else is private. Extra credit if you guys could find another one for me. But so this is where the things are going, and I will happily tell you, we are building a better boat. We have hired an amazing crew, and we're just going to sail the trend better than others.
I think it's a good segue to talk about expanding inorganically. Seems like a very fragmented space, no other public companies, probably a lot of mom and pops. I guess just philosophically, what kind of acquisition? What is an acquisition that looks, irrespective of price, but just in terms of the business, the customers, the products, what kind of acquisition makes sense for moms?
Yeah, so super clear, three things, right? So the first one is we're a deli company. I don't want to play in the frozen space. Don't find me a great shoelace company at a good multiple in the center aisle. We're a deli company. That means that I'm looking for someone in that space, that fresh meat set, same sort of set. Ideally incremental. So we already have a couple, okay meatballs and okay pieces of chicken, but soup is a good part of the deli. We don't play in soup today. Pizza, and hopefully I should have said at the start, there really is a Dan Mancini. I get to hang out with him all the time. So Mama Mancini is one of our brands. He brings in awesome pizzas for us to try. So pizza is another place. Sushi is a small but growing part of the deli. I don't want to hurt your feelings, or, Dan did not make sushi with his grandmother 50 years ago. So that's that's the type of stuff that I'm looking for. So one, it's a deli. Two, it's west of the Mississippi. So we have two facilities here. We'd love to have more West Coast distribution and production. My boys are really into skiing. So ideally, if the company could be in, Colorado or Utah, or outside Jackson Hole, that would be great. So if you could work on that for me, that'd be great. And then the third one is they have their own manufacturing and distribution. I'm not looking to just buy this great brand that has nothing left.
And is there anything, I guess, as I'm thinking about getting the geography question, I mean, let's just say you had to service the West Coast, given your current footprint. These are perishable goods. I mean, they travel.
Oh, yeah, so we do it all today. Actually, again, we're in all 50 states. So, yeah, it costs me a little extra. It costs me about $4,500 to drive from our facility to, Seattle. But remember, our trucks are north of $100,000 of product in a truck. So a 4% freight is not a big deal. Would I like it to be 2%? Absolutely, but it doesn't blow up the model per se.
Do you have a dream of this being a roll-up, and just continuing to consolidate the deli aisle, or should we think of this as being like much more targeted and very opportunistic for the right deal, as opposed to like this is a platform for being the king of the deli?
So like I said, we're going to be $1 billion business. Half of that growth is going to be organic growth. We're $100 million today, and we're going to grow to $500 million. And half of it was going to be inorganic. We're going to acquire $500 million worth of revenue. I do believe, as the only publicly traded company, actually I can name only 4 or 5 billion-dollar brands. You guys are smarter. Maybe you can name 5 or 6. But again, this is just a sea of family-owned, $100 million, $50 million, $200 million businesses that we find that they don't have anyone else to give it to, right? So I met with a guy, nice guy in the world. His kids don't want to do it, so there's no place else for it to go. And, you know, it's great that we get to perpetuate and continue their story.
And maybe time for one or two more questions. Maybe quickly, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about your e-commerce venture. I just love know quickly, like, where that idea come from, and why is that attractive for you to be e-commerce?
Yeah, Lauren's doing an amazing job with Andrew on putting that all together. Look, it's great because it allows us to be, you know, always on, right? So it is hard for someone in Wyoming. They might have to drive too far to get our products. Now, anyone can get our products. It's great for marketing. We have a multi-million-dollar QVC business, which is a great business for us because we do a lot of testing, a lot of R&D, try a product. If it works well, let's try it again and get it onto real stores. If it doesn't work well, no big deal at all. So it's a great testing ground.
Adam, this has been great. We'll close with, you know, my favorite question, which is, you know, obviously the stock has done pretty well and under your tenure. Thank me for the podcast, of course. What do you think people are still underappreciating about this company?
I mean, I appreciate everybody that's been investing and understanding. I promise you, we're just getting started. We haven't even started the growth. The first year was just about cleaning up, which we're not even fully done. Just the opportunity. Just look at the deli. Just look at the deli space. Look at the macro trends, and who's gonna do that? And I think we're building the right team, the right infrastructure, the right efficiency now to actually do some great things. So I think the growth, you haven't seen anything yet.
Adam, thanks for doing this. Adam will be here, you know, taking one-on-one meetings, and he has Mama's branded sneakers available for everybody.
Yes. 1 million shares. You get 1 million shares, I get your Ferris.
Thanks, Adam.